What's up everybody, it's Man of Low Moral Fiber here. My name's Luke, and in this video I will be working through Overpower Level 8 Heroes Pass using Melee Zer0. This is one of the last, or I guess it is actually the very last map in the game before you get to the final boss of the main campaign in Borderlands 2. And so, you know, probably it's going to be one of the harder maps in the game, and I can definitely agree with that. It's pretty jam-packed with enemies, and you can definitely run into some sticky situations on this map. Quite a few pinch points, and I find it pretty fun to play through. One of the first things I wanted to talk about in this video was why I prefer the Height of Terramorphous to the Love Thumper. I've been posting quite a few melee videos as of late because they recently adjusted kunai to once again stack up to 80% damage. And I've been using the Height of Terramorphous in all these videos actually, instead of the Love Thumper. And I've been getting some questions on why I prefer to use the Height of Terramorphous, or why I am using the Height of Terramorphous as opposed to the Love Thumper. And one reason for me is just the thought of a higher potential damage. The Height of Terramorphous has a substantially higher roid damage than the Love Thumper, and because of that the higher potential burst damage appeals to me, even though the Height of Terramorphous is more difficult to manage and it is a lot harder to keep slag up on enemies, and you could argue that it's even harder to maintain many must-fall chains. However, I do appreciate the higher potential roid damage because for me it makes sense to get the most damaging and, you know, enemies you would prioritize the most to get a good hit, or like a great hit on them, as opposed to two good hits. I don't know, that's just something that in my mind, you know, I prefer. However, obviously the Love Thumper is more than enough to get the job done. Even at Overpower Level 8, the Love Thumper is still a great melee shield, and I'm able to play through with the Love Thumper fairly efficiently as well. I just prefer the Height of Terramorphous personally, and I actually don't mind the added task of stripping my shield and everything. It adds another layer to the gameplay, and I actually appreciate that. So those are just some of the reasons that I really enjoy using the Height of Terramorphous over even the Love Thumper and all other roid shields, obviously. Because those are, you know, and also the Law are the only roid shields that are really useful, because the rest are just woefully underpowered and have no real special effect. I wish there was a roid shield that didn't have novas like the Height of Terramorphous and Love Thumper do, that still had superior roid damage. If I could just get a roid shield that did about, or even just equal, but I would prefer even higher damage than the Height of Terramorphous did, but had no other effects such as nova or spike damage, that would be something I would be very interested in. I don't think they'll add any more gear to Borderlands 2, but if they were going to add anything, a higher damage roid shield would definitely be something I would be interested in. I saw from the Loot the World QR code screenshot nonsense that there was a loot shield called like the Big Thumper or something that had some ridiculously high roid damage. I wonder if that, you know, will ever come to be a thing. Probably not, but if anyone has any more information on it, let me know. I didn't really read too much into that. But from what I surmised, basically it was a mistake or something. I don't know. Someone will have to let everyone know in the comments what happened there. So obviously this is one of the more compressed areas and crowded areas in the map, where you have to jump across that bridge to fight several rocket loaders, Hyperion sniper guys, exploders, and just regular old gun loaders as well. There'll be quite a few of them there for you to deal with. When I open chest, I like to make sure that I have 4 or less grenades, so that the chest will generally be stacked with grenades. And if you open about 3 chests while you're under 3 grenades, it will usually be enough to get you all the way back up to max grenade count, or 10 grenades. So that's really cool. Those values differ obviously a little bit if you haven't got all the grenade upgrades, or the SDUs I think they're called. These guys with the rocket launchers, called Hyperion Predators, need to be prioritized a little bit, especially if they have E-Tech launchers or elemental launchers that can put a large damage over time on you. That's definitely something to look out for at overpower levels, and it makes this map a little bit more difficult knowing that there are those guys about. So when I know those guys are coming up, I'll definitely prepare for them and try to avoid getting myself caught in a E-Tech rocket launcher, because that's definitely a good way to die. This constructor is really high up there, and well, he's not really high up there, but he's kind of hard to get to go melee him. And so I'm just going to Pimpernel him here for a little bit, because it's definitely going to be easier to take him out like that than it would be to get up there and try to get a good execute on him. Because at overpower level 8, it's a little bit harder to one-shot constructors than it was at other levels, obviously. And so that's definitely something you got to be careful for, because constructors become more formidable enemies when you cannot one-shot them. Like I said, this is just one of my favorite maps because it does have such a load of enemies, and they keep coming. They'll spawn behind you and in front of you, and there's kind of a rush at the end to get to the constructor, because he'll start spamming rockets and more enemies will come then. And you can really get put in a bad position at the very end of the map as well. So I kind of like that the map's pretty fast-paced and chock full of enemies. It's pretty cool. Luckily, the surveyors aren't quite as annoying as they are at Digistruct Peak, but they're still pretty annoying. If you get caught with too many of these guys with the fast-firing guns that ignite you, you can be in real trouble. Warloaders can do it, as well as regular badasses, and also ultimate badasses like this guy here. And it's definitely something to watch out for, because they can kill you in a hurry if you're not wearing an inflammable shield. I'm wearing a grounded hide of Terramorphous to protect myself from the chain lightning I am using to strip my shield. Luckily, those guys can still be one-shot very easily, even at overpower level 8, and so that works out really well for me. Using the chain lightning in combination with the grog nozzle to recover my health. Most of you all probably knew that, but I do get some questions like, how is your health jumping back up so quickly? You know, and the other day I replied to one of those that I was using a Survivor class mod and Turtle Shield at overpower level 8, but I was actually playing Melee Zer0 and I was using the grog nozzle to recover my health. So I felt kind of stupid and apologized to that person and explained it right. That was kind of dumb. I should have looked at the context on the video. But yeah, all Moxie weapons can heal you. The grog nozzle obviously has the most ridiculous healing percentage. The ruby's the second best at 12%. The grog nozzle does around 65%, I believe. Definitely makes it a little almost too easy to survive, but at overpower levels, when damage over time can kill you from one shot with a Malawan SMG, you know, I think it evens the grounds a little bit. Before overpower levels, I was a little iffy on the grog nozzle. I felt like it kind of cheapened the experience, but since at overpower levels damage over time have become an instant killer, it's one of the only way, or it is actually the only way I know of, to get around those damage over time insta-kills. So that's definitely something I do now use, because it, you know, it once again makes the game more fun for me. And that's what I'm looking for mainly, is to have fun with the game. Anywho, we're moving on now. Like I said, there are two warloaders down here that have those fire guns, and they can definitely be a big problem for me, because it's that damage over time that I do fear. Luckily, I caught the 1 damage per second damage over time glitch there, so that worked out really well and I didn't go down. I'm going to have to be a little bit careful and take out this surveyor before I get any further into that, because I definitely don't want to catch a surveyor shock bomb and a fire damage over time at the same time. That'll be a for sure death. After playing some Digistruct Peak, I usually just resort to Norfleeting these guys, because they're so damn annoying. But here I kill it with a Pimpernel, and one of the main things to remember about surveyors is you gotta slag them, because they're so hard to hit for the most part that when you are hitting them, you want them to be slagged. You can definitely get away with not slagging some smaller enemies, but surveyors, because they're so difficult to actually make contact with, I always try to keep them slagged. Gonna kill these RPG loaders and warloaders down here so that I'll actually have a safer passage onto this last one. Once you kill one warloader, this ultimate badass loader will always spawn, and so you can really get into some trouble running into some high firepower over there. especially if there's still some rocket loaders and Hyperion snipers alive. But luckily this is the last real pinch point on the map. It kind of opens up here for you to fight the pseudo boss at the end of this, and that's pretty good. I really like the Pimpernel here because it allows me to take these guys out relatively quickly without running into really any damage that I would run into, obviously, if I was going in with melee. But I ran out of ammo there, so now I know it's time to advance. Luckily, I just killed those guys. Take out these little guys here with melee. It'll be a lot easier than having to deal with them with their giant loader buddies, you know, protecting them, and that would have been rather difficult. Now I'm trying to get down to the flat level down there before the super badass constructor comes, because he is programmed to primarily just spam rockets. That's all I've really seen him ever do, and that can be definitely a big deal if you let him get set up when there are other loaders around. So I'm just going to clear this area of loaders real fast before too many more spawn. He gets brought down by this barge, which you're seeing happen now. And I'm just going to get kunai on him here and go ahead and start dealing some damage to him with a Pimpernel. Loaders are very easy to get good critical shots on with Pimpernel, and now that I have damaged him significantly and my deception is back, I'll go ahead and finish him off with an execute. Constructors cannot be slacked, so don't worry about that, but they can and very much do take excellent critical damage, and they're very easy to hit in the critical spot so long as you just jump. You'll be able to knock them out pretty easily. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. You know, I like to run through Heroes Pass, and this happened to be a good run that I had. I definitely appreciate you guys watching, and if you haven't yet, please take the time to subscribe. I'd appreciate that. Here's a quick look at my gear and skill build. I hope to catch you next time. Bye, guys.